Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
G'day. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
There goes the shopkeep with his wares like always. Old man O'Reilly's out again. Every morning just the same, since the morning that we came to this quirky island town.
Bonjour, Marin.
Oh, good morning, trendy gamester.
Off to the beach again?
Where else? I can't remember how we actually got here, or when the days end or begin. Like the chickens in the coop, seems we're all stuck in a loop, and I think that I might snap. Oh, hi kids, I'm off to the beach.
Please help, we can't stop throwing this ball.
Oh, isn't this amazing? Look at all this stuff that washed ashore. Oh, could that be a body? Yes, a grand adventure seems to be in store.
Excuse me, Miss Marin, is it? I'm
Yes?
gonna have to stop you right there.
Well, hello, sir.
I
What
represent the Walt Disney Corporation. We're shutting this whole operation down for blatant copyright infringement. You'll need to
Oh.
come with me. Get her, boys.
Excuse me. Oh, excuse
Ma'am,
me.
if you'd please look into this light.
What?
So it's no wonder that the world hates lawyers. The evidence is plain to see. So you best beware the suits. Don't you dare to claim fair use. Cause I got my friggin' eye on you.
He's got his friggin' eye on you.
I got my friggin' eye on you. D-O-D. Yeah. All right, is it time?
Oh, Joe, not only is it time, we're live.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I didn't plan the transition. Like I didn't do the Dwelling of Doom music. I just hit the button that
Oh,
went
really?
from so
Well,
people can
then-
see you. People can see me too.
LFG guys. Hey, hello. Hi everybody.
Happy
Oh yeah.
Sunday
okay, I can
night.
see myself on the Twitch. Yeah, happy Sunday night.
My name's Evil Sonic, and with me tonight is the one and only musician named Joe Newman. There's
That's
never
not
been
true. There are multiple musicians named Joe Newman. But sorry, I threw off your groove.
You didn't even wait like a fucking minute. You had
He's a famous trumpeter. I think there's also a country musician named Joe Newman. Anyway, I'm not special. Let's keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Evil Sonic, and with me tonight is a run-of-the-mill Joe Newman.
That's good. That's right.
We are here to talk about arranging. I've seen the presentation you've prepared, and I know that you've got a DoD slant, because, well, Joe, I'm always talking about Dwelling of Duels. What do you think Dwelling of Duels is? Why don't you tell us what you think Dwelling of Duels is, in your words?
Yeah, so Dueling of Duels is a monthly video game arranging and producing competition. It's a kind of niche within a niche within a niche in that, music, video game music, this specific community of video game music, and it's really just a gathering of friends, right? Like it's some of the biggest hardcore nerdiest people around, and they make incredible music for no purpose other than just to delight and entertain each other. And it's great, and it's the best because it's people who really, really care, and they show how much they really, really care by making the best stuff they possibly can.
Thank you, Joe. That was very well said. I think there are a lot of reasons people submit to DoD. Sometimes it's to get good. I know there are a few people who make a point of entering every month just to challenge themselves that I know for me, sometimes it's weird now that I'm running it and I have the cursed knowledge of what's happening, but I do sincerely try not to think about what I'm like, any ideas ahead of time. But when the theme goes up and it's like, oh, I have had an idea that fits for this perfectly, and this is my time to shine. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to make it happen. Sometimes, and this might even be more exciting, is I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea what games or music fits this theme, so I have to just jump on Zophar, and I've literally gone through Zophar and just started in the A's, and like I scroll down and down, and sometimes I start from the Z's and I go backwards, and that's fun too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're like Tuck. You love the hunt. Right?
It is.
You just find
the hunt
yeah,
is
you
wonderful.
find some cool music, and it forces you to, gives you a deadline. It gets you motivated, and you get some external validation hopefully at the end when people, either one person or everybody or just yourself. You get to listen to the song that you made, and you're like, yeah, that exists.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
And there might be some names in here that I'm missing, and for that I truly apologize, and I implore that you admonish me in chat, and I'll call you out later. But some of the people that come to mind that I know make a point of entering, maybe not every month, but as close to every month as possible. Have you ever heard of Ian Martin?
I have.
Yeah.
He's many
prolific.
amazing Ians.
He's one of several Ians. He's very prolific. There's also Valence. Valence does a ton of tracks. I love that style. Caco Missile, I know for a while is doing. I don't know if there was a specific year where he was trying to enter every month, or if he's been keeping that up. Because my brain is a sieve, and I honestly haven't been able to keep track of patterns with the beautiful mind-like recall that I did 2 or 3 years ago. But
that's what the spreadsheets are for.
That's what the spreadsheets are for. I didn't have to remember things anymore once I discovered how to use Excel. Obviously, Joe Newman and I are here to talk about arrangement breakdowns. Joe, you did a very good job describing what Dueling of Duels is, and I think this is probably a good point for us to jump into the topic du jour. We're talking about arranging. Do you have your slideshow ready? Do you want me to?
I do, because I of course had to create a slideshow.
Okay, is it supposed to still be in preview mode?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, every time my firm's owner does a presentation and he brings up his PowerPoint and we can see the preview and the notes, we all judge him.
Alright, well, I can try. You know what? I can try.
Let's try.
Problem is it's going to go full screen on it. Yeah, as long as I do full screen, it's going to...
There's nothing like winging it with a...
Oh, okay. Does that work?
Oh.
Alright, try throwing...
Oh,
that could work.
Joe, this is going to be so good.
Oh, is it slick? Sweet. Let's do it.
It's so slick. This is the Newmajoe slickness.
Absolutely. Let's slick it up.
I can see your mouse, though.
That's okay.
There
we go. I can see it.
Do you want me to narrate, or do you want to take us through?
No, I'll talk in, whatever. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and you guys can interrupt me at any time. So again, this is the Idiot's Guide to Arranging for Dueling of Duels. I will preface this by giving my usual legal disclaimer. None of this is legal advice. None of this should be taken as the official position of Dueling of Duels or any of its affiliates, or even my own stuff. I'm just having fun. But we're going to do all sorts of disclaimers. But let's see. Next slide. Yeah. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. Again, I had to do a presentation because, this is how I think. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. There we go. So first, disclaimer. You can see it. Whatever, we'll keep talking. Okay, so here's the disclaimer. I already gave the legal disclaimer. Here's the other disclaimer. This is just I'm no authority on good music. Everybody at Dwelling of Duels makes amazing music already. You don't need my help for it. And yeah, nothing's gonna help you be better at your instrument, more creative, make better music. The only thing that I can say with sort of reasonable confidence is that I have experience winning Dwelling of Duels medals.
Do
That
you?
is the only that is the only
We
objective
hadn't
thing that I can
noticed.
say. And the again, I don't know if that means whatever. You can disagree with my tips, but if you disagree with anything that I say, just remember this disclaimer because it's just my opinion. And let me explain a little bit what winning.
Before we go into
Yeah.
that, can I jump in? If
Yeah.
you want to win at Dwelling of Duels, listen to Joe. If you
Okay.
want to have fun with Dwelling of Duels, listen to me. I came in 29th a few months ago, and I loved it. I listen to that shit on repeat all the time.
Yes, you don't, and I'll tell you also, if you listen to me, you may still not win because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But
He's
I'm going to
also
tell you how
probably
I
going to
approach
try to
it.
sabotage you with some. He's going to lay in some fake advice in there too.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so here's how I think about Dwelling of Duels, because I think it gives a little bit of perspective. So I do a lot of work in the music world. I do, I sit in with people. I make, originals. I do stuff in all sorts of genres. And I think the most important thing that I've learned is just to understand the assignment. So as a mnemonic, you can think of me as Joe Newman. I strive to be Gary Oldman because he always understood the assignment. Everything that he's ever done, he's always truly understood what he was supposed to be doing.
Joe, I just realized new man, old man?
Yes, that was intentional.
Okay.
I planned this shit out.
It's really apt, so it's really convenient that he wasn't just like mid-man or something.
Yes. If you want to be Joe Midman, you can be. Okay, so what are the rules of Dwelling of Duels? So there are some explicit rules, and there's some implicit, non-explicit rules. And I think this is one of those things where it really pays to understand, like, what is the assignment? The tunes that tend to win medals in Dwelling of Duels are ones that followed the assignment. What is the assignment? So first, the explicit rules. It's got to be an original cover. It's got to fit the theme. It's got to have the main instrument played live, and you have to be anonymous. So even within these 4 official rules, there are some implicit rules that can be sort of gleaned. So for the first one, original cover. Dwelling of Duels' audience values originality. Like I said before, we're a passionate group that has heard pretty much everything, and they like new takes, and they like new songs. Novelty is important. So if you pick a source that's been done to death, just have a really good take on it, right? The second one is fitting the theme. This is one I think that sometimes gets lost. It's not that we're like trying to be sticklers about the rules. Like anything can fit. Like one of my favorite tracks is the Mario Lemieux hockey track, just because they went with the theme in a totally different direction. It was hilarious. But I do think that on some level, people expect an adherence to the theme. Like there are songs like Ribeye Rodeo or Sim as It Ever Was or Dahlia Noir. Like there are songs that are very much like Ribeye Rodeo was a Wild West song in Wild West month, and I think that people responded to it because it really fit the theme. Like Dahlia Noir, I don't think necessarily would have taken gold in a regular month, but it was a very on-theme mystery month. So I think that is something that, like, on some level, you get excited about a theme like, Wild West month because you want to hear some cowboy music.
Joe, that's such an interesting point because as you were talking about fitting the theme, I was thinking about Wild West month, not specifically Ribeye Rodeo, but all of that month, because one of the takeaways that I think a lot of people had when that month came out was that everybody leaned hard into that Wild West aesthetic. And that was something, it was notable at the time. I mean, obviously, when there's a theme, we all do stuff that fits the theme, but there was something about like that Wild West sound that came through in a lot of tracks. But
and I view the theme as something that really should spark inspiration. Like even a kind of broader theme like Genesis Month, like that can go in a whole bunch of directions because there was a bunch of games on the Sega Genesis. But I was like, okay, well, I really want to lean into what it means to be on the Sega Genesis, which is funky, crazy synths and stuff like that, right? And like that's why I was like, okay, we're gonna do Chemical Plant. So you don't have to necessarily adhere to the theme, but I do think that is something that people often overlook. And then when they say, "Oh, I got poor ratings," it's like, well, you didn't really engage with the theme. Third one is main instrument played live. Now, obviously, this one is very tricky because nobody's checking your work to see if you've actually played your instrument live. But what is really underlying this explicit theme is something that's really unique to DoD as a community, which is that we value humanity, value a virtuosic performance. This isn't like necessarily like the most polished performance that wins. It's the one where you can actually tell that there's a human being playing it. You don't have to be again, I know that sometimes intimidates people because they think that they have to be like insane shredders, but like you don't have to be show-offy to be human in your playing. Like if you need an example, just like look at Corey Johnson. Like he doesn't play, like he can shred, but he doesn't go nuts in every song, and he's super, super passionate. You can hear every like bit of that passion and that humanity in the way that he plays. So finally, on anonymity, this is where things start to get fuzzy, right? Because although we have explicit rules about anonymity, we're a very small community and everybody knows everybody's stuff. So what does it really mean to be anonymous? I think it's you making an attempt to do something that isn't obvious, right? Again, that goes to novelty. Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to just get on there and say, "Hey, I'm Evil Sonic and this is my track, chunk chunk chugga chunk." You know, like you want to at least make it fun for people like the Man PF who like to guess.
And one of the things that I feel like I've been seeing this a bunch lately is people seem to get hung up on the anonymity, and they interpret that as I can't make music that's me because they think that will be too revealing. I want to discourage that attitude. Make music that is you. Even if it's one of those things where it's like the second the song starts, we know instantly who it is. The real rule is you didn't go around talking about, oh, I'm going to do 1-1. Like, that's really all it is. It's like, assume that the community doesn't know who you are when you're submitting a track and stop worrying about if we are going to know you or not. Because sometimes I worry that people try to hide themselves more than try to lean into making the music they want to make, and that's
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go back to the first slide. Like, you don't have to listen to any of this. If you like, sometimes you like fooling people. Have a good time with it, man. Like I think it's the anonymity is like there's explicit rules and there's implicit rules. But the implicit rule is we like to guess. We like to wonder at least for a second and then be delighted when we figured it out. Okay, so what are some of the other, and this is where I'm getting even into more dangerous territory and extrapolating some implicit rules about the DoD experience. But these are just my observations over the years. Consider these the venue rules that I've kind of gleaned. Remember, this is a listening party, and there are things about this forum, this venue, that actually do impact the types of tunes that are well received. So the first one is be memorable. So yeah, I think, to Fawful's point, surprise is important, right? And this is actually exactly what I'm saying. So being memorable is important. Remember that like the songs in the listening party, they're played live and you don't actually control the song order. You can kind of game it, but not really. your song has to grab everybody's attention. It's a party. You have to take people away from whatever it is that they were doing and grab their attention and hold it for at least 2 minutes and then stick in their head long enough for them to remember it when it's time to vote. So, you just don't have time to kind of meander. I like to think sometimes about DoD entries. It's not like you're designing the Sistine Chapel, it's you're designing Space Mountain. You want to create a really memorable ride for people that they'll remember and they'll stick in their head and that'll be a good time. One of the, Imagineer kind of philosophies is to really think about, as a ride, like, how are you going to maximize emotional impact? One of the best ways to do so, I've found, is contrast. We'll get into that in a second. I want to keep this moving. So the second one is production matters. So DoD gets a lot of a big rep among people who are new to it, that, they're going to rip apart your production. I don't think that's entirely fair. I think what's better is to say that production errors matter. I have been able to take gold in DoD with production that is very mid. I am not somebody who I would raise my hand and say I'm a great producer, but I've learned how to avoid certain production errors in my work. If there's something like clearly wrong with your production, so like an instrument is too loud or too soft, there's like EQ that's off, like your snare sucks, someone's gonna point it out, and that might be the thing that they remember about your track. So it is important to know enough about production, or to work with somebody who can produce your tracks, who can at least get to you to that baseline where we can focus on your artistry and not be distracted by something wrong with the production. Again, it's really close competition, so being off in some sort of objective way is really hard to win when you have like an actual blemish on your track.
I want to throw 2 points on that one, which is, first, if you are working on your DoD track and you're up against that deadline and there's just a thing and you notice it and you're like, maybe no one else will notice it. If you noticed it, someone else is going to notice it. Here's the second thing. Don't worry about it too much, because, submitting the song ahead of the deadline, that is the first life stage of a DoD track. It can have so many stages after that where you polish it, where you take the feedback that people get, you go back and fix the things. My favorite thing that I have ever done was a garbage fire of a mix that I was working on to the very last minute, and I had cut almost a minute out of the song just to make it not as garbage. It came in 25th out of 30 or something. But then I went back and I played with it some more and I made it happen. So never, yes, people will notice production errors, and never assume the thing that speaks to you is gonna cause people to overlook some other little detail, because people notice the little detail anyway. But still, it's making music and it's being artistic and it's doing fun stuff, and still do it. And these tracks live after that.
Absolutely. I already feel like I'm being a know-it-all in this. I'm trying to be funny about it, but if any of this is wrong or intimidating, just tell me that
I'll knock you down a peg.
Yeah, dickwad. Cool. All right. So, and then another thing about the assignment. Dwelling of Duels people are passionate. They're weird. They're open-minded. The fact that you can have basically any genre win in Dwelling of Duels is one of the things I love about this community. You can take some really big swings, and people will generally be on board for it. There is not I know sometimes people talk about a genre bias, but it really it doesn't exist. If it's well executed, anything. Yes, I'm gonna get pegged on stream. It's great. So I mean, I sometimes joke that Dwelling of Duels is like performing amateur night at the Apollo, but it's also performing to your friends. Like, we have a shared language as to like what is cool and what's funny, and like if you get the vibe, like, you know, you can throw a 3-4-5-1-8 in your track. Like, we'll get it. Like, and that is fun, and that is part of the joy of doing this, is that you can really have fun with it. Again, to a point. And again, this is where I'm getting a little spicy, but like, there's a limit sometimes to people's ability to get your joke. And like, oftentimes when I will do something, I know that nobody's gonna get it, and you have to and I still do it, but I have to make sure that it works for people who don't get the joke as well as people who do get the joke. Because if you're relying on somebody to have played the game or to have like knowledge of, you know, this one particular inside joke, it's probably not gonna, like, I'll confess, there's a specific example, like the Sonic Advance track that I did at Mag Month with Tuck. The joke was that the Mecha Knuckles fight is like literally 4 seconds long, which is why it was like a really funny brevity. But if you haven't played the boss fight, it doesn't make sense. And so that joke was a little bit lost on people, and it doesn't matter. We'll do it anyway. We still had a good time with it. We can have fun with it. But again, if you are trying to rank higher in Dwelling of Duels, making sure that you have a joke or a concept that everyone's going to get is important. And, you know, you don't have to dumb down your stuff, but just, you know, set expectations accordingly. Okay, I'm going to stop talking because I have talked too long, and I think let's play some tunes.
You want me to play music?
Yeah, let's play some songs.
Hang on, I gotta get the right. This is a very polished production, everybody.
It's cool. We'll take a break, and then we'll talk more about source selection and arrangement approach.
I'm gonna mute us and put on a playlist. I'm gonna turn off the cameras for a bit in case Joe and I need to, you know, step up and use the facilities, but I'm Evil Sonic, this is Joe Newman. We're here at Dwelling of Duels talking about arrangements, and we're gonna listen to some tracks that have been submitted to DoD in the past. If I had been thinking ahead of time, I would have set it up so that the foobar info would play on the screen, but I didn't do that, and somehow the world will keep spinning. Keep it right here. This is Dwelling of Duels.
Duels.
We are back.
Yeah.
I turned
what
on.
you drinking?
I've got myself a dark but also stormy.
Nice. I don't have anything to drink here, and I also don't have any food. So by the end of this stream, I'm gonna get thirsty and hangry. Actually, no, I have some saltines.
You know, I once worked with she was another musician, and I think she's still doing stuff pro back in Texas, but I worked at a cafe once with someone named Sarah, and she gave me what might be the greatest piece of life advice I've ever heard, ever, which is food doesn't have beer value, but beer has food value.
I love it.
It's
nice.
It's true. Words to live by. Joe, we shut up. We played some tunes. What do we do next?
All right. We'll yeah. Let's get through all of the.
Well, actually, I guess.
Wait. Yeah.
If you want, if you have anything, can you tell us a little bit about the tracks we just heard? I know there was a little bit of chit and chat in the chat, but.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So Secret Base. That was me and Eric. Yeah. I mean, that's. I think it was it for freshman? Yeah, it was for freshman.
June 2022.
So whenever anybody asks me my favorite game soundtrack, like underrated game soundtrack, I always bring up Sonic Advance. I have so many, like Sonic Advance is one of the first games that I vividly remember, like turning on my Game Boy Advance and just sitting and listening to the sound test. Like that's, I don't normally do that. Like I like to play the games, but like I just wanted to just sit and just learn everything in that soundtrack. There's like the third stage is like the casino stage, and they have this just pure like jazz piano, and it's like actually sounds like a piano because the samples were good enough on a Game Boy Advance to do that, and it's a ripping solo, and I learned it, I transcribed it. It was like the first video game like piano jazz solo that I like straight up transcribed and I played note for note. I just love that soundtrack like crazy. It's so inventive. It's so well done. It slaps, and I was just really, really happy I had an excuse to do it because it's never on anybody's list of songs to cover.
That's why it was fresh.
That's right. Yeah, right on. McPherson Sound. I don't know McPherson Sound. Are they in the Discord? Cool. But yeah, it's just such a good soundtrack. And then the other one was Wave Race, so Kawasaki Daisu. The original one was just me and Sam and Ian, and I don't. Oh my God, was there somebody else? But then Eric was helping on production. But then for the album version, he actually played drums on it, which was the intent from the get-go, but he ran out of time. Again, I think had he been drumming on it, I think it would have done better than sixth. But we did our best.
I think I asked him to play drums that month
nice.
for an alt, and it
Nice.
didn't.
Well, you have good
It didn't
memory.
happen. I might pull that idea out someday, so I won't talk about it too much. But
Oh, is it the okay? I think I know which dude you're talking about. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, I love that tune, and that was like very much the I'm gonna just do a tribute to T Square. Oh, you know what? I tried to get Snapple Man on that track.
Oh.
Now that I remember, I tried to lure him out of semi DoD retirement to play because I know how much he loves T Square. He declined.
He often does.
Yeah, but you know, I think he likes to try. I remember either it was him or Hack or somebody was like, "This is a great arrangement in a shitty production." Like, just that was the entire review, and I was like,
That sounds
Cool.
like a Snapple
I like-
Man review.
It was-
Hackstock
but,
would
like,
have
you
been a
need
lot more
that.
diplomatic.
Yeah, it was probably a Snapple review. But that is the best part about DoD is that if you can like take the hit like that and learn from it, it got me into the sound gym, right? And it just, I really appreciated someone being straight. Like, I can't enjoy this track that you did because your mix sucks. And like, cool. Like, let's fix that. That's a fixable problem. All right, let's get back into it. I can't see you, so I'm just gonna assume that's a nod.
Yeah. You're
Okay.
the one in control of the deck.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, so picking a good source. This is getting real spicy. So again, remember the first slide. This is just my opinion. You don't.
Joe,
have
am I
going to
be allowed to like jump in and talk over you if I strongly disagree?
Please.
Okay.
Please, take me down a peg, or whatever the
Yeah, I'll give you a pegging.
Tony's dirty bird. Yeah, peg me. Cool. All right, so picking a good source. So this is a very, very subjective. For me, I know other people feel very differently about source selection. You do not have to have a well-known source in order to win DoD. Like, just look at Tuck and the McDonald's song. Like, it's awesome if you can find a cool source. But I think you still have to pick a quality source. And let's be real, not every song that was ever in a video game is a good song, period. Or to be a little bit more diplomatic, not every good song in VGM is good for covering in the DoD context. So I personally always pick songs that I personally have a connection with. Like, if I'm gonna arrange a song, it's usually something that I played. I have a emotional connection not only with the song but with the game it comes from. And usually that inspires me in some way. So, like, for example, if you guys remember the Poison Jam, which was the Sonic, the Chemical Plant Zone. So that was there was a direct game inspiration. When I was a kid and I played Sonic 2, I mistakenly believed that if you held down and jump and you revved up Sonic, you could rev him up infinitely and get infinite speed. And it was wrong. He maxes out a single rev. But that memory was actually what inspired the tune, if you can believe it, because I was like, I'm going to just rev up constantly, and I'm going to keep building up tension, and then I'm going to release it in a silly way. So the ending when it's just ramping up this, that's a joke. That's me building up tension and then releasing it with a joke where he just says chili dogs. And then, that's, for me, that was my experience playing with the game. So, all right, I'm going off on a tangent.
Joe,
so,
when you talk about building up tension and then the release,
yes.
is there an arrangement equivalent? Is there a musical arrangement equivalent? A go-to, a standard, a trusty pivot equivalent that you can think of?
You mean in what I've done, or just in general?
Yeah, that musical idea of building up tension.
If you're trying to get me to make a cum shot joke, I think that's Triple D already got there.
Well, this is the beauty of the cum shot, is because sometimes it's a thing you try to sneak in there, and sometimes you just have to be so overly blatant.
Yes, exactly.
Just cover everyone with it.
Absolutely. Okay.
I'm going to give the
all
mic
right.
back to you.
We're losing people in the in the stream.
We're down to 16.
No. All right. Well, okay. I don't know if it's
It's my fault.
The deck or no.
Keep going.
All right.
Take us back.
So yeah, So what are the things that make for a good source? So the reason that I remember particular songs, the reason that something sticks in my mind as something I want to cover, is because it has one of four or maybe multiple qualities, and anyone who spends time on the Discord is going to know where I'm going with this. The head, the heart, the butt, or the lulls. And for those who don't know, these are also the sort of superlatives that I give out when I'm reviewing tracks, because this is what I look for also in an arrangement. Is it, the head? Does it do something really clever? Is it technically impressive? Is it, really well done and well mixed or produced? The heart, does it trigger an emotional reaction? Does it make me feel the feels? The butt, does it groove? Does it make you feel, like, does it get your head moving? I, famously always give my butt award to Tuck, because he's just so good at making groovy killer tunes. But anyone can get the butt award. You don't have to be Tuck. You just have to think about what's really going to get people kind of making that stank face. And then the lulls. I know people think of this as the joke category, but it's actually really important. Because it could mean it's funny, but really it's more that it captures the joy of the music. It's not always applicable. Sometimes you're covering something that's a downer and you want to do justice to it. But I think, we are a silly crew, right? Like we're a bunch of 30 nerds making video game music for free, and I think like all of my favorite DoD tracks, at least on some level, acknowledge the absurdity of what we're doing, and maybe by playing I know Tony's on, or maybe he left, maybe he was one of the people who left, but like Tony's stuff is so good that it just is so much fun to listen to, because how much fun you can tell that he's having make it. And like this is, even if he isn't like cracking jokes like the put in the Office Space quote in the Paper Mario, but like there are people who just really enjoy the music, and that comes across. So for my part, I think picking a good source is finding a song that has one of these four qualities and then really engaging with that specific quality. So like, I'll give you a specific example. Matt Matat's Mario Galaxy cover, Space Junk Galaxy. That the source tune isn't a banger. It's not particularly fun, and it doesn't really it doesn't necessarily inspire a strong emotion, but it's really interesting, and it's really it's a cool song that does interesting things with like the Lydian, I don't want to get too, I'm trying to avoid like theory stuff, but like, and then he took that and he made a song that was even more like ambitious and intellectual and heady, and it works so well because of this synergy. Like it makes you feel like you're flying through space, and I guess that's a little bit of heart, but like it makes you really like, oh yeah, I'm in space, things are wild, I don't know where this is going. And I think that's just a really good like engagement with the theme. And then like there are people who go the opposite direction. So Mike, like last month when you did Crypta the Necrodancer, and like that is a song, the source, like that OST is all about the butt, and you engaged the opposite direction by making an all acoustic cover. And that's really clever. Right, and it still works because you are still engaging with the theme. You're just going in the opposite direction. And so like meanwhile, I don't want to like call out anybody for having a bad arrangement, but there have been arrangements that I have felt like the arrangement direction was kind of like orthogonal to the source. I didn't really see the connection. Like, why did you pick this song to arrange in this way? Like, there's no connection there. And again, it's not like a problem. It just makes it less effective as a listener, because like I don't quite understand why you did it.
So two things. First of all, obviously I know what the word orthogonal means because I'm very intelligent. But just for everybody else who's here, can you remind them all what that means?
It's like a tangent. It's not.
Then why don't you just say tangent?
Parallel.
God damn it, Joe.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So the other thing, and this is so telling about Joe, how you pick sources and how I pick sources, is you put all this like thought into it. You're looking at the music, the music, the potential, how the arrangement's going to come together. 9 times out of 10, the track that I submit to DoD, I am excited about because I came up with a title first, and then I took it from there. And with Crypt of the Necro Dancer, what happened was I saw that was a game on the list of eligible sources for Rhythm Month. I was like, oh, I've heard of this game. I haven't listened to the music. I turned on the soundtrack and I fell in love. I saw the title was Disco Descent, and I was like, what's the opposite of that, and how can I keep it alliterative? Oh, Acoustic Ascent.
Nice.
And I was just like, that's the idea. That's all I'm doing. It's a 1-to-1 arrangement. It's just
Totally.
It's just with acoustic instead of synth. So
totally. And I mean, I like that. I voted that song really high. Obviously, I think there's maybe a question of if you go opposite the source, does that go worse than digging into the source? I think there's definitely somebody smarter than me can crunch the numbers on it. But I think it engages with the source at least in an interesting way, and that makes it memorable.
I've seen enough of the raw votes to know there is zero logic to how DoD votes. It's wonderful in its own way. But
bye, Crush.
I love you all. Bye, Crush. Have fun at work. We'll have the VOD up for you.
Totally. Absolutely. And again, this is not by any means prescriptive, which is a fancy word for telling you what to do. This is just how I think about it.
I know what the word prescriptive means, Joe.
Okay.
I know lots of
Fair
words.
enough. Understood.
Get back to your fucking slideshow.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. So, all right, so this is where I plagiarized myself because I said all this in my 2024, and it's good that Crush left because he's already heard this. So a lot of people talk about telling a story. How do you keep people's interest? You tell a story. A lot of people, if you want to get really literal with it, you can go into like literary theory and talk about like 3-part structure and like exposition, denouement, climax, or whatever. And I'm an English major, so I do like to think that way. But there's a much simpler version that I talked about at MagFest, which is Kusho Tenketsu. I got schooled on how to pronounce that. I hope I did better this time. And it's just very simple. It's a 4-part structure. You introduce an idea, the ki. You develop the idea, sho. You twist it. You do something unexpected, 10. And then you conclude, ketsu. And it's really, really, really effective. And almost all of my arrangements follow this formula in some way. And here's a better illustration for it that I feel like gaming people will appreciate because it's a gaming analogy. This is once you learn Kusho Tenketsu, you see it everywhere, and it is a explicit structure that is used in Mario games, and this is what I'm going to show you. So this is a level from Super Mario 3D World, which I didn't come up with this, by the way. This was a Game Maker's Toolkit video that I stole from. But you can see it starts off with these like platforms that they move when you jump, and you notice that they always start with like there's floor underneath. So it's introducing the idea in a really safe way. So as you figure out how these things work, there's no penalty for messing it up. You're introducing it safely. And then this is such a good video. This video changed my life. Then they're like, okay, we're going to develop this idea. So now we've introduced it, we're going to develop it, we're taking the floor away. So now there's consequences if you make a mistake. And so they are going ahead and they are testing your ability to understand what you just learned. And then they do the twist. You thought that you could control when you jumped and when you couldn't jump, and no, now there are these guys that send the shockwaves. So you have to respond to the shockwaves and jump, and it twists what you've already learned. And then finally, it brings everything back at the end with one last puzzle that reinforces the basic idea one last time for the flagpole. It is classic. That is literally the entire level. It's just introduce this moving platform idea, develop it, twist it, recap it, you're done. On to the next level. It is such an important and really effective way to communicate an idea in a way that your audience is going to get. And I'm going to be very explicit in showing you like two of my favorite arrangements, and I don't know how well I'll be able to. Probably can't play the audio, huh?
I can play audio from Fubar. It's not gonna. There's not gonna be a visual connection, but if you want me to cue up a song,
maybe we'll just do these two for the next musical break. But so in the donk, explicitly follows the Sho Kentetsu structure. If you look, it's very clear. So we're gonna play this like we introduce the idea. First, we do a little introduction. We do the what is this song about? This song is about mashing up Earth, Wind, and Fire and Super Mario Odyssey. But first, we have to establish that's what we're doing. So it's a very straightforward. It's just the melody of New Donk City over the beat of In the Stone. And then we develop that idea by expanding on the arrangement and having more backing lines. The backing lines start working in more Earth, Wind, and Fire examples. Then we develop it further by having a solo section where everybody takes a solo over it. And then we do the twist, which is the 10, which is where we go into the big Robbie unexpected gospel piano breakdown. And that's when we sort of build everything up into this big climactic ketsu, where we just end with the main restatement of the ba-da-ba-ba-ba, which is this big old crazy shout chorus, and it's very climactic and it's very effective because everything's been set up. The most recent arrangement that I did, It's About Time, the Chrono Trigger arrangement, is even more explicit because literally the entire song is just goes through the melody and then does the first A again. So it's the intro. Again, this is a Chrono Trigger song. It sets up that we're going to be doing it in this sort of 6/8 soul style. It plays the melody very, very straightforward. It's just the tenor, the bass, and the drums. We go through it again. Again, it's just developing the exact same thing again, but this time with more instruments and more accompaniment. And then we go into the bridge, which is where Shay's violin comes in, and it just now we're a full band and we're playing, and again we're introducing unexpected ideas, and we go into the sax solo, which is where we really don't know where it's going to go, and it brings it back to the A section for just one more time again through the first A section, the first melody with a sax solo, but now it's set up and you know what's happening. So you can just kind of go nuts with it. And again, for me, it's very important to set up exactly what it is you're doing so that you take the audience with you on that journey to that climax. And both of these songs end with very crazy climaxes. I spend the entire song kind of setting up that climax.
Yeah, Joe.
And you can make the sex joke again if you want.
Was I think It's About Time. I may have heard your condescending judgment when I referred to it in DMs as, oh, was that the song that had the really long note played out? And that was my takeaway from it. In my defense, when I'm hosting this stuff, I'm not paying as much attention to a lot of the things, so I'll just capture a detail or a note, but going back and listening to it again, it's such an impressive goddamn thing. So
well,
I will always remember it as the song that had the really long note held out because of that moment you and I shared. But it's also a song that works on so many other levels.
It's the only reason that the really long note works as the climax of the song is that everything that preceded it sets it up. If I just got in there and did a really long note, it wouldn't be effective. It has to be something that is built up to. And this is just, I'm taking a page out of Corey Johnson's book. Like, you
know Corey?
When it comes to yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, and then, you know, it's memorable, it's a long note. Obviously, I could talk way more about It's About Time and all of the really emotional, heavy shit that went into that. Maybe we do that later. But, you know, that, in terms of the arrangement and how effective it works as an arrangement, it's only effective because it's building tension the entire time that's released in this big final long note. Okay, so maybe why don't we do another... well, actually, why don't we just do a break while we play these two songs, and then I'll wrap it up and we'll do Q&A.
Okay. Oh, I didn't make a playlist with these songs yet, but I can throw that in there pretty quick. Which one do you want first?
Cool. Let's just do In the Dark first, and then we'll do It's About Time first and second. And then, yeah, and then I got a bunch of random bullshit to close this out.
Okay. So, and do you want me to just keep the DAW on?
Nah, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, actually, no. If you can keep it up, that'd actually be cool, because then people could potentially follow along.
Okay. So I'm gonna turn off our cams. Host cam is gone. Mixer cam is gone. Yep. Where'd we go? Anyway. It's Dwelling of Duels. I'm Evil Sonic. With me is Newmajoe. We're doing a arrangement breakdown. You're about to hear In the Donk and It's About Time. Keep it right here, because this is Newmajoe.
Joe. note that is
What the
the
hell?
transition. Hello. I can hear you.
I'm looking at my video
Oh,
and
no.
did the computer move or the camera's frozen?
Oh no. Evil Sonic is a ghost. I mean, I can still hear you.
Yeah. That's
I don't know if the 15 people in chat can.
you know what? It's fine cuz I'm going to reset my video, but that's separate from the audio and this should work pretty well. So let's Oh. Am I back on? There we go. Yeah, I'm
are
back.
you?
I'm back, baby.
Oh, yeah, there you are. Okay, sweet. Yay! That song didn't kill Mike.
I hacked the planet.
Nice. Sweet. Oh, wow. I could not have asked for a better segue from Fawful, because literally the next slide is random bullshit, which is AKA Project Management 101, because this is actually a question that I get a lot, because most of my tunes are collaborations, and collaborating and putting together big ass projects in a month is something that took a long time to figure out how to do in a way that was both effective in making good tunes, respectful of everyone's time, including my own, and also just a good experience. I've tried to, I've learned some tips along the way to just, keep everybody friends in the process. Like, one of the small things is like I always start a group chat with everybody who I'm collaborating with. I've worked with some collaborators who they just like, here, send me the part, and then that's the only interaction that I have with them. But I like to feel like everybody's together.
I've had those.
It definitely can.
Wink, wink. I've gotten a medal on one of those, so I'm not going to complain about it.
That's true. It's true. It can definitely be effective, particularly if you don't want a whole bunch of cooks in the kitchen. My preference is that I like to, I don't know. I tend to like anyone to throw in ideas, and I'm very strong ideas held softly or held weakly is my like, if somebody's got a better idea than me, I love it.
I'm very much a firm believer in that. Like, sometimes the chat, the random aside question can unlock potential that wasn't there. I have at least one collaborator I've worked with a few times who's very specifically asked not to be included in some of the group chats. I don't think this is going to be I don't think I'm going to ruin anything by saying that it's Juja, who I have worked with a number of times. He's got some amazing vocal talents, and the way, pretty much what's happened is I'll ask him if he wants to do a voice for something, and he'll say yes, but he likes being surprised about the talent that shows up for the musical side of things. So I get that part. Like, he kind of likes being in the dark about that, and just on the day of the listening party, finding out like what is the overall picture that he's contributed to. And I remember he did when we did the Jock Jams and Earl track, there was another Toji and Earl track, and he was like I think in the listening party he assumed that the first one that played was the one he was on, and then it was like, oh wait, no, there it is.
That's
he
hilarious.
heard himself on the
I mean,
second
that
one.
can be fun too.
Yeah.
I've definitely had a lot of fun being on collabs where the first time I heard the song was the listening party, and that can be really fun. Anyway. All right, so my random bullshit. So know your resources beforehand. So I have gotten a lot better at this over the years of actually starting with the resources first and then arranging based off of what I have, versus I know some people go the other direction where they have a vision and then they try and find people to help it.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult to not be in control of my destiny that way, where you don't even know if you're going to find somebody to do the thing that you need. And for me, I just have a lot of fun, like, specifically writing vehicles for my friends. Like, getting to work with Super Soul Bros, right? Like, and in the Donk, the goal of that entire song was I want to write a song an arrangement that the Super Soul Bros would want to play, because we never worked together before then, and I literally like came to them with a demo and I said, "Will you please do this?" And they said yes, because I had clearly done I did my research and was like, I'm gonna play to their strengths as a band. And like also with like Sam Schwartz, who I collaborate with a lot, like he's a tremendously talented guy, can play all these different things. He can sing. He doesn't have a lot of time for DOD, and he doesn't often get to arrange stuff. And so I'm just like, I'm gonna write a song that just lets him shred the F out of everything, and like give him that to do, and then he'll take it and he'll run with it. And like when you play to people's strengths, you get really good stuff.
He was on my
like,
Cruise in
Sneak
USA
Man.
track, and that was a treat.
Yeah, and he kills it, right?
Yeah.
And because he's just amazing. So that's like tip number one for project management. Like, start, understanding this project scope at the beginning. The second one is understanding how your tools and process will shape your creative choice. This one's actually a really interesting and nuanced one. So we have a lot of discussions in like the production channel of like, what's your method of like actually collaborating? Do you create a score? Do you create a demo? Do you create, like, you just send someone MIDIs? I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to do it, but I do think people underestimate what it will actually do to their song, the way that they set the parts. And I'm saying this as somebody who often gets sent parts. If you send me a score, I'm going to interpret the score, and if I may interpret it in a different way if I don't have a context to work off of. And scores are inherently like not as precise as you have all of your articulation markings or whatever, but there are just certain nuances of performance that you may not be able to get unless it's a really, really well done score. Likewise with a MIDI, like a MIDI can be very useful. It's actually my preferred way to work. If someone sends me a MIDI file, because then I can just load up the MIDI, hear kind of sort of what you were going for, and then riff on it. But then again, every approach has pros and cons. So and if I'm working with somebody who literally doesn't read music, then obviously I have to accommodate that way too. Jump in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I was just about to say what I do when I'm arranging a project with collaborators, because I approach this as I try to look at it as though, like, there's some people I've worked with a ton of times and I know exactly what they need. They might just need a little bit and they can run with it, or if it's somebody I haven't worked with a ton of times, I don't want to assume like I can just give them this one thing and they'll be able to do it. So I always start by sending them a MIDI, because then I'm like, okay, you can drop this into your project and you will have the tempo mapping. You'll be able to see the notes. I'm more than happy to make a Muse score out of it, but it's going to look like somebody threw up on sheet music because my MIDIs are not precise.
Yep.
I will also do my own sort of VST instruments and wave stems, because I also know that sometimes, for whatever reason, if you're using Reaper or Logic or Pro Tools or whatever the hell, there's always sometimes like something doesn't quite line up. So having wave stems to work off of, and also just the thing of, if somebody doesn't have like a really good VST to get the feeling of the thing to play off of, like, I have a VST violin, so I'll throw that in there that people can play against or mute and
Yep.
whatever they need. And you know what? This is a man PF. I'll always credit him because I think Jackie worked with him first. Jackie worked with the man PF on a main before I did. Like one of his arrangements, and that was Spirit in Red for MagFest December 2022. And she described like that process of like what he put together, which was, you know, the sheet music, the parts, very, very detailed notes, like a Google Drive folder that would make you weep with just how thorough and organized it all was. And I kind of like took that as a cue. So now when I'm doing a project, I'll always like create a Google Drive folder. I'll just drop in my MIDI. I'll drop here's a reference stems folder. I'll make the drop your stems here folder so people can just throw them in there. And I'll have the Google Doc that explains like, here's what we're going for, because it's not just the notes and the MIDI velocity, which honestly, like, I don't pay attention to the MIDI velocity. I usually just turn it all the way up and I stop thinking about it because I'm trying to, it's about the rhythm and the pitch, and I don't know anything else about MIDI. So
Yeah.
I put my notes in there like, this is the section where I'm hoping you can do this, or hey, collaborator, I have no goddamn idea how to write for your instrument, so this is just a placeholder. And if you record the placeholder, I'm gonna cross this continent and go to your coast and slap you because I don't want you to play what I wrote. I want you to make it better. And
Right, and that's a really good set. Can I jump on that? So
I guess you can.
Because I think that's one of the. Thank you. Sorry, I just got so much to say, and I haven't had anything to drink, so I'm like really Anyway, I think that is one of the downsides of making a score, right? Is that you create this sort of subconscious pressure to play what's on the page. It's like, oh, because this guy wrote it, so he must have really intended for me to do that note, even if it's wrong. And particularly when you're working under time pressure, like that is one of those things that I've learned the hard way. It's like, oh, people won't deviate from the page if you send them, like, this is the score, and I want them to. And so so for the last tune that we heard, that it's about time. That's a great example of like I was very explicit to Brandon and John Stacy. Like, these are the sorts of things that I want. I'm gonna give you a MIDI. In terms of like the rhythm and in terms of like what in general I like. Again, this is point number 3. Like I made a very involved demo and proof of concept, but I said I do not know how to arrange for your instrument. I don't know what the right ranges are, and you are S tier horn arrangers. Literally, just go. Yeah. And like that not only was the right call musically, but it was also the right call from a collaboration perspective, because Brandon and John, they're way more talented than me when it comes to arranging horn parts and just in general. So they were like, cool, this is fun for me because now I get to actually be involved in the arranging process and write out horn parts that are up to my standards. Again, going back to point 1 on this slide, like understanding what is fun for people who are your collaborators and helps them shine. It was always the intention, I'm going to write a bass horn part, and then I'm going to let John and Brandon work their magic on it. And they did, and that's why it sounds so good. Was there more you wanted to say? I know I jumped in there.
No, I think I covered it.
Okay. But yeah, making a great demo, proof of concept, I think is the most important of all of these, because it does a couple of things. One, it gives you a chance as the arranger to actually realize your ideas vividly, like before anyone else gets involved. And they generate hype, right? Like you want your collaborators to be excited about the piece, And if you can send a demo or a proof of concept that very clearly sets out like this is the vibe, even if it's shitty MIDI, like that always works because that inspires people. And like that when I send that initial proof of concept, people are like, oh, I immediately can imagine how I'm gonna expand on this and how I'm gonna. The person who is like hands down the master of point number 3 is Tuck, because he will send me essentially a finished product, and he's like, here's the song, it sounds killer, it's amazing, just add sax. And then I'm like, awesome. And I can literally make a sax part in a matter of like an hour or two just by listening to how good his song is, and I'm just adding to it. And then he drops it in, and it's great, and that's like done. The track is done.
So that's
and
super
it's
interesting.
because he does all the work. Yeah, because he sends me tracks that are just like, because he can produce amazing stuff all by himself, and then he's just like, here, I left a spot for you to just sax on this.
I very rarely do that kind of thing. Like, I'll do my arrangement with the VSTs, but yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of do some amount of work on that, but I maybe I don't think of it in those terms. I'm just sort of, I'm putting the notes together, and I'm throwing some VSTs on there to get, like, here's a general idea of how I imagine it will sound. But I'm also very lazy about this stage. Like, if there's the easiest thing I can point to, and it's because I've worked with Jay, aka Ronan, so many times, is that if there's a violin part, I'm so lazy about how I write for it, and because all I have is the BBC Symphony Orchestra, the free thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either
the
it's playing out the long notes, or it's playing those staccato notes, and I just trust that, like, if I'm sending those reference stems to him, he'll know what to do, like, in the context of the song.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
I don't
and it
spend
does.
much
I mean, this is
time,
an
like,
art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. I think that's a good segue to the fourth point. So, like, I there's a thread somewhere where I talked about what it means to be GGG. It's a sex thing, but it's relevant here. It just stands for good, giving, and game. So it's to put very simply. I don't want to like belabor it too much, but like, you work with good people who do good work. They turn on their they turn in their shit on time. You don't have to worry about them being able to deliver. Like, I love to work with people who go above and beyond what was asked. I always try to do that. Literally every part. It's become a meme for me, where if you send me a part, I'm going to send you back 30. And you don't have to use it, and I never expect you to use it.
Super fun.
Yeah, but like, I mean, sometimes it's annoying.
Joe,
and I get it, but like, I try and go above and beyond because that is the fun of this whole thing. But I always, like, there's no ego involved. It's just like, hey, do you want to do this? And if you don't, then just say no. And like, I'm not precious if somebody decides not to use the stuff that I suggest. Giving, again, the second G, just, this is, I want to make songs that make my collaborators look good. I want to support their musical choices and play to their strengths, and I like to work with people who do the same. If you're gonna use me to play saxophone on your tune and you just give me whole notes, I'm gonna be like, well, that wasn't a super valuable way to use me. But again, it varies. And then finally, game, and again, this just kind of goes back to like the very first slide. Like, I want people who are going to be fun to work with, and I pick people who are going to be fun to work with, who have a good attitude, who don't treat this so seriously. I know obviously we all care and we all,
because you don't want to be
seriously
on a thing
enough
that falls apart, or like they don't take your work seriously or anything like that. But also,
I think they take the music seriously. They don't take the response seriously, like the ranking. It bums me out. it bums me out when like there's this expectation that collaborating with me is going to lead to a better ranking, because it just puts pressure on me and I don't like it.
Joe, I've been meaning to ask, you still owe me for our Mitsuda month collaboration, because we didn't come in. Where did we come in on that?
I like the tune.
Okay, so you did your Chrono Kong track with Tuck, which I love. That might have been my favorite that month. 20th
I
out
really
of 26th.
liked it. Beyond is pretty good.
Joe, come on.
I mean,
I trusted you.
Here, man.
I trusted you.
I've tried to go above and beyond for you in that song, if you remember.
You did. No, that was a super fun process. And
but you never gave me shit about it until just now.
I do love that track. I keep it on my playlist. I listened to it like in the past 2 days. It's a good track, and that was a fun
I love
collaboration.
It too.
I had my arrangement, but then you brought some stuff to the table. I remember there were parts where you expanded on, and you were like. So on the one hand, I remember you suggested adding a piano part to cover the low end. And I think that worked really well. And one of the other things, and this is just, I make jokes about how much I hate rhythm that isn't 4/4 because my brain just breaks at it. And you had there was a part in there where you're like, make this measure 6/4 and just to let it like play out a little bit more. And I was like, do we really fucking have to? I'll do it, Joe, but I hate you. And it worked.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that I think that tune works. I think that it's a good arrangement. I'm always sad when my collaborations don't do better, but I also
it did great. It
doesn't matter.
It did what it needed to do. We made a song together, and it exists in the world. Right. It's a thing I like listening to. So that's all you can ask for.
Same deal.
If anyone is watching this and thinking this is how to get a gold, I'm going to say this as diplomatically as possible, but actually, I can't say what I'm thinking.
Well,
and I don't have a.
I've already torched my rep with this whole hour, so.
Yeah. Well, if you are trying to win DoD, there are two options: either stop trying, or wait for a super slow month where no one's gonna enter and have the best idea ever and get the best people possible. Like, I don't know. Say there was a Maxis month. And you came up with the idea
I know you're going there.
that you mash up The Sims with the Talking Heads, and it just works musically and philosophically, and you have the best performers possible on it. I don't know, just an example that I pull out of nowhere. And there are only 13 mains, so that's only 12 people you got to do a little bit better than.
It's a classic song, and it works. And you knew your resources. You got the right people involved. You had the right tools and process to get it done. You made a good demo, and you made everybody shine. And that's all it is. And again, I keep belaboring this point because I feel like I'm trying to argue against somebody who's not even arguing. But like, golds don't matter. It's just, for me, it is about what makes the best song that you can possibly make. And you want to make a song that resonates with people, and like that is really what it's about. The competitive aspect, who cares? Like there have been songs that I've made that did poorly, but they still resonated with people, and that's what this is all about. Like, the best advice that I ever got philosophically was from my old jazz teacher, and he's like, look, if you can find a community that, if you can find yourself in a situation where the music that you want to make as a person happens to align with the music that this community wants to hear, that's a blessing, and you just hold on to that as long as you can. right? And it does not matter what else comes from it. Just enjoy that. And that, I mean, that's what's kept me in DoD for so long. It's not the medals. It's just that, like, when I do ridiculous songs, that some of which we'll not talk about on this stream, but like when I do really goofy shit that I wouldn't try anywhere else, and people vibe with it, that's the best. And that's what, again, all of these tips are designed to help you achieve your ridiculous vision more effectively.
So
hopefully
I want to call out two things. First is, to quote 16-time gold medal winner Joe Newman, the medals don't matter.
Yes, they don't.
I just wanted to add that 16 gold medal part in there.
Oh, okay.
And I mean,
Anything else?
it's 33-time medalist Joe Newman. The medals don't matter.
The only thing that they did for me is they allowed me to do this stream.
Sure.
Where I got to be an asshole and say that I know what I'm talking about.
You got to do
no
this
one
stream
else in the
because you
world-
kept asking, and I'm like, I'm not going to say no, so let's do this stream.
Well, I just wanted to make a PowerPoint guy. I just really want.
I'll allow it. The second thing I wanted to call out
Alright.
was Triple B music. If you're like me and you never get to medal, just find people you think are likely to be banned and want to remove the track later. You're guaranteed to get at least a silver. Triple B, I see you. I can't wait to hear
right.
your cleaned up version with better
Yeah.
people. And yeah, Triple
Know
B,
your
only the
resources.
first gold matters because then you don't have to pay for Super Audio Cart. I am
That's
in
right.
this picture.
That's true. That is a good point.
That is
That
100%
is very,
me.
very true.
I remember the first
So
time I
medals
won a
don't
gold
matter.
medal. The first one matters so hard. Or the first
Yeah,
silver
yeah.
where Joe passes on claiming the gold.
Yeah, medals don't matter. Plugins from Impact Soundworks matter.
This is a good point. This is a good time for us to thank our sponsors, Impact Soundworks, who have been graciously for the past many years been giving out VSTs as prizes for the first place winners of DoD. You can get your Super Audio Cart. We've got all those shredded guitars and basses. You can get your Norg bass, your Pud bass, your Sixto Sounds guitar. They've got it all. Joe, don't you love Impact Soundworks?
I actually, I need to recognize my privilege. Part of the reason that I'm able to do the 0.3 on this slide, making a good demo proof of concept, I actually do use the Impact Soundworks VSTs a lot when I'm making my proof of concept. And they sound good and they inspire my collaborators. We don't use them in the final thing, but they help. So I actually do, I want to take it back. Medals matter because you do want to get good VSTs, at least for demos. So I take it back. All those times I say medals don't matter, I'm recognizing my folly. All right, I've talked enough. Let's go to the Q&A.
We had some cues for your A.
Sweet. I will provide A.
So this one, do you want me to start? I mean, we know who the three
It's your
people
night,
that post questions are. Where do you want me to start?
You start wherever.
I know where we start. Okay, so
Okay.
Joe Newman, Newmajoe. What is your
Mhm.
favorite shade of white?
I'm gonna look directly into the camera as I say this. Off.
You
Next
telling
question.
Siri something? Like,
No, I like off-white. That was the joke. All right, it didn't work. Let's keep.
no,
going.
I got it. I was there for it.
Okay.
Okay. Joe, when arranging, how do you...
I had a dirtier joke mind, but no, never mind. Let's keep going.
I think I can get there.
You can imagine where I was going.
When arranging, how do you determine the amount that a donk should move whilst listening to your songs?
So I'm gonna actually give a serious answer to this, which is it depends on the song. Because going back to like the previous slide about like what is the reason that I'm covering the song, like what is the quality of that song that I'm trying to engage with, amplify, or subvert. So if it is a song that has a lot of donk, I want to amplify the donk. If it's a song that has no business being donkey, then I won't. So how's that for a lawyery answer of it depends?
That's good. No. Now, this question has it has several parts. So I'll go through them point by point.
Okay.
Is there a specific donk you envision? And how do individual donks shape the parameters of donk jiving?
Yeah. The specific donk that I envision is the one belonging to Yo Mama. Next question.
Okay, I don't know if I care for the tenor of this conversation, but I'll allow it.
It's only because I know who asked it.
Okay. So, this
I also see the chat is starting to ask questions, which is good.
Third point of this, and lastly, do you permit your own donk to become involved?
Yes.
And lastly, at what threshold do you deem a donk to be sufficiently donk jiving?
Usually it's the point at... Oh.
I gotta shut this down. This.
Oh no.
This question, it literally needs. I wish there was.
I need to answer the question. If only you were to. The only thing that could stop me from answering this question would be if somebody were to exert
my
1984 caliber.
My authoritarian. How do you say authoritarian? How do you?
This bit is falling apart.
My dictatorial. Fuck! I can't. Tyrannical. My tyrannical. Instincts,
Tyrannical.
I'll Jesus Christ. Google, how do I say authoritarian?
Literally 1983.
Literally 1980, go fuck yourself.
That somehow became way better than the bit we were planning.
It's because words are stupid and you can't pronounce them, so fuck words. So no more words
we just
allowed.
Lost some viewers.
No, they were stricken from the record.
They were dick tutorials. Nice.
The
dick tutorial.
We do actually okay, so I'm seeing 14 turn to 13. We do actually have questions. Good questions.
Okay,
please come
right,
back. Right. So how do you write new parts that fit? This is from T-Bone 5.
Mm-hmm. T-Bone, yeah.
How to write new parts that fit seamlessly into the original source, making it sound like an intended part, not an afterthought.
It's an incredible question. I really appreciate it because I didn't get to talk about it in the deck. So, like, there are a couple of the basic simple answer is that every line has what I just call intention. It's there for a reason. The reasons could be any number of things, but they tend to fall into a couple of categories. Usually a line, like, we have the benefit in most songs of having a clear melody line. So if you're writing something new in addition to it, it should it could support that melody line. So like it could be something that adds pads or texture underneath it. It could be something that sort of expands on that melody line. So like if you like in It's About Time, like there'd be pads or things, or actually maybe in the donk is a better example, where there would be the phrase would end and then there would be like a response to that melodic phrase in the backing lines. Sometimes when I just decide I'm gonna write a full-on, just a completely original solo part or soli part, the reason that I'm doing it is purely because I want to add something new to the piece that is like so. For example, like when I did the sax soli breakdown in Poison Jam, it's just because like I've revved up all this energy. There needs to be some form of a payoff. So having a whole bunch of saxophones do a bunch of crazy lines together in harmony, it's a kind of hype move that people respond to. Again, it's just the other thing that I'll sometimes do is again, I'll use a backing line or original line as a way of adding an Easter egg or a reference to something else that I like. Usually it's something that's like, so like in the donk is just chock full of references to other Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, because I just really love Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I wanted to, wherever it made sense to work it. Like there's also Stevie Wonder, and anyway, so like it's an everything that you add that isn't just the basic melody and a beat is an opportunity to add something. So it's just a question of like, what are you adding, and is it something that is, intentional? I hope that's helpful. Maybe?
Yeah. It's not nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember
Get
when
into
we were
it more if
preparing
you
our
want.
notes for this, you said that question was a really great lead into the next one that I'm about to pose, which comes from Naup.
Is good.
Naup recently ascended to the pantheon of the ops team. Unsurprisingly, having great questions. If you've seen any of the Mega Mixtape interviews and stuff, I'm a big fan. I know this is the Joe show, but I'm going to give Naup a shout out. But,
Dude, we just lost like 6 viewers, as you said. I don't think it was, hopefully it wasn't related.
yeah, no, I'm sure it was like some
All the
internet
bots left.
outage.
Well, thank you for sticking by.
We
Yes,
love
bless
the
Naup.
12 of you. You apostles, you. For the Joe Talk, you do all kinds of genres in your music. What are the different challenges of arranging some of those, say, hip-hop compared to jazz, for instance? And we just got 4 back.
Yeah.
So they're back in our good graces.
Nice. Oh, okay. Ah, nice. Yeah, so the question for those who left, genres. So I think anytime I'm going to arrange something in a specific genre, and I really like to arrange in specific genres, is to use things that are, again, I'm going to use another big word, it's just idiomatic. So like
big
if I'm
words.
doing hip hop, it's just an opportunity to show my research that I know the genre. So I will, someone else who does this really well is Charlie Rosen of the 8-Bit Big Band. He's very good at, it sounds pejorative to call them cliches, but like he will pick out the vocabulary and the stock like quotes and lines for whatever it is that he's trying to emulate. And I just feel like that's a really useful approach. Like it's a little cute sometimes, but if you really want to, if you were to say, I don't know, want to make a song that was a big Rage Against the Machine tribute, you would just find ways to listen to a bunch of Rage songs and work in as many Rage isms as you can.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
And no, Charlie does not. Exactly. Charlie does not participate in DoD. I have sent him some of the songs that I've worked on, and he has said nice things, but I think he would probably say that about anything.
Oh, Joe,
She's
can I
a
flex
polite
for a
person.
second?
Please.
Who's the fanciest VGM composer that you've gotten on a DoD track?
Composer on a DoD
Yeah.
track. I don't know. How is this a flex for you?
I just wanted to remind the world
Okay,
that
am
I
I
got
forgetting?
Frank fucking Klepacki on DoD.
Oh yeah,
Public
that's right.
Radio
Yeah, because you got me
presents-
beat. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. I think about
have
that
not
5 times a
had-
day.
Nice. I've had. I was actually really bummed for Catagen Month because Sam and I were gonna do a song from Putt Putt Saves the Zoo, and it is very nice that someone else covered it. I don't remember who, but we were actually gonna try and get George Sanger on the track, which would have been pretty legendary because George Sanger is a fantastic human being. It didn't work out. And it probably is for the best because we ended up having a really nice DoD themed cover instead.
Some
But
probing out.
yeah, someday maybe I'll. Yeah. Someday maybe I'll get a composer to do something for DoD, but it's a tough sell. You have to do a lot of work for nothing.
You also have to
For-
find someone you can approach and give them the pitch of, hey, do you want to do this thing, before they can ask the inevitable question, who are you and how did you get here, and please go away.
Exactly. The bet. Oh, I have a better answer. The highest profile video game composers that I have worked with in DoD tracks are all the people who worked on Swag Hero.
I was
So,
wondering if you're going to get that.
Carrie and the. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. I didn't realize I was bait. I forgot.
I forgot it was bait as I was halfway through it, so, we both remembered it was bait.
Nice. Getting to work with the Tony and the Tiberian Sons for some stuff was pretty cool, though. I mean, he's a composer technically. He does.
Yeah, he's...
Anyway, I like Tony.
Tony's some things.
He's a cool guy.
I like Tony.
He's someone I admire.
I have said this so many times that I sometimes worry I'm saying it too many times, but I have to remind myself not everyone has been present for every stream for the past 3 years. But one of the greatest moments in my development as a DoD artist came from the stupid alt idea I had about Connor having to collaborate with me as punishment for getting Tony a silver medal. And so there were a few things that I love about this. The first was it was like a Wednesday morning at 11:30 when I messaged Connor and I was like, hey, I have an idea for an alt. Would you be able to do a really over-the-top awesome production of Wily Stage 2? And we can use that as a premise. And literally an hour and a half later, he got back to me with what was close to the final version of what you will hear in the alt. And I was like, motherfucker, were you sitting on this? How did you do this in an hour and a half? There were synths, there was orchestral, there was guitar for days. The tone was superb. And
That's
so
me
that
with
was
Matt Matat. When I told him sorry, keep
but
going.
Matt Matat's also the goddamn treasure of DoD. I don't know how he doesn't have more golds than you, because he's just... I don't know if that was meant to be praise of Matt Matat or just a slight dig at you, but Matt Matat's goddamn great. Everyone collab with Matt Matat. He's a fucking shredder. But, okay, so Connor's hour and a half Wily production that just came out of nowhere was part one. Part two was I got to do a video chat with Connor and Tony where we did the dialogue for the piece, and we did it pretty quickly, and then the next 50 minutes was a goddamn master class that changed everything for me. If you listen to my mixes from before April 2022 and then after, like, that was a turning point for me. And it was in no small part to the knowledge that I got from Tony and Connor in those conversations.
Nice. Yes. Shout outs to Tony and Connor. And Max and Frank and everybody. Everyone is so great.
Everyone. Hey,
I'm
you know,
always very happy when I get...
You're great.
Yeah.
I'm great. You know, the Man PF is great.
The 16 people watching are great.
18 people. We got 2 more.
I don't know how I suddenly started... Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
we are great.
Be paying attention to it, but...
We attracted them.
Yeah,
Oh
so
shit,
McPherson
we're back
Sound
to
had another
16,
question
15.
in the chat.
Oh, God.
I
I just looked up and the numbers started dropping.
Well, those who have stuck around, I appreciate.
We love you, whoever you are.
Yeah. So McPherson Sound asked in the Twitch chat, when you mash up a feel of a song with a VGM song, do you start with the song you want to copy the feel with, or do you find the song that you want to cover first? I'm actually really curious, Mike, as to your response of this, because I feel like the answer is neither. For me, it's literally the mashup is the thing that inspires the song, right? Like,
yeah,
it's literally like, oh, I think I can do these
it's
songs
the how
together,
do you
and
make
that is
it
what
the
causes
two.
me to. Yeah, like the kernel of the spark that ignites the whole project is, oh, this could work together.
Yeah. So sometimes it just like clicks. Like, I don't remember, I genuinely do not remember, and this is the last one I did, but I don't remember if I went into F-Zero Big Blue first or Eiffel 65's Blue and was like, how has this never been combined before? Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I do remember Pud Thumpin'. I was very intent. Like, that one started with, I need to take Tub Thumpin' and combine it with video game music. So I did a search of songs that were in a similar enough key and either a close enough tempo or could be close enough if you cut it in half or double timed it. And that is how I came across the Rainbow Castle from Mario Party. I was literally just going through VG lead sheets and looking at tempos to find something that was like
that's
kind of
impressive.
close.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, because that's not my approach, but it worked. Like, in the song that you picked,
it only works
the
if
mashup
you're
worked.
insane and you are willing to spend the amount of time going down a possibly endless rabbit hole of nonsense. Because that was, I mean, it was really, it was lucky. Part of it is just like, there's so much video game music out there. You'll probably find what you're looking for if you want to shove two things together. Like, the thing exists out there.
I mean, literally, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to cover Tub Thumpin' and DOD, and in order to do that, I needed to find a video game song. So I just found a video game song that I could kind of smash into it.
Yeah, or the other way around, which is when Eric sent me Big Crit Justin Scott, and I responded to it by being like, oh, I can play Chrono Trigger over this. And that was it. That was like the whole... and then that led to It's About Time. Just like, oh, I can do that. Like, maybe this is me being a jazz musician, but like, we're constantly doing that. Like, anytime you come to an Ultra Combo gig, we're constantly figuring out like silly things that you can quote over particular chord progressions. And the more outlandish the chord progression, the cleverer you feel for being able to, drop a a choice quote. But I guess the question, and I see that Fawful put a thing in the chat about this, is like how out there. I think it has to be either the source song or the for a mashup, one or both have to be recognizable that everyone gets the joke. In general, if you're not talking about mashups, I think, DoD in particular is very receptive to wild takes, but it's like a bit of a sliding scale, which is like the more well-known the source, the more wild the take has to be for us to care.
Yeah.
But conversely, if nobody knows the song, you can actually be pretty faithful to it, which is a lot of Tuck's greatest songs. He's just like, I found this song that nobody knows, and I'm just going to do a really faithful and awesome version of it. And that's a hugely successful strategy because he doesn't have to mess with it that much. And he does both directions. But, like, I think, anytime you do something original, people want to understand. You want, and this kind of sounds a little weird, but you want people to understand how clever you are and not necessarily just like, oh, that's an interesting piece, and not understand what you did to it. So there's a little bit of self-awareness that comes from, that's why I was saying, like, in the beginning of the presentation, like, they're not mind readers, like, they have to get the joke, and I say joke loosely, but all right, I'm babbling.
No, you're good. I just remembered 2 examples that I actually did in the same month. Different contests, same month, but in August 2022, I did 2 songs that I felt I had some incredible collaborators, but one of them was for the MagWest Dreamcast month, and that was around the time of Stranger Things Season 4 being out, and I shit you not, like, I was kind of ignoring work for, like, periods of time, just watching Stranger Things videos that had Running Up That Hill. Because, like, Running Up That Hill just, it jumped back onto the charts for the first time in almost 30 years. And it was, like, just Stranger Things was top of my mind. And it was Dreamcast MagWest theme. And I was like, oh, Sonic Adventure 2 could be in there. Oh, Pumpkin Hill. Oh, shit. Like,
yeah.
So I don't exactly remember, because there was no time. There was, like, less than 10 days. It was probably a week from the theme is announced to the deadline. But I somehow came up with the concept of redoing the Pumpkin Hill rap to be Stranger Things inspired, because, like, I was just ass deep in Stranger Things personally at the moment. And I did work in some elements from Running Up That Hill into the, like, musically in there, but most of it was just Stranger Things, Pumpkin Hill, Kate Bush, just throw it in the blender and see what comes out. And New Moon was an incredible collaborator who made the rap work.
Yeah. And then, GMRA.
I remember that one. Like, that one I felt really good about because it was so obvious. It was just so blatantly, like, there was zero subtlety about it. And I remember watching the live listening party, and I remember specifically Audio Mocha's face in the front row, where he was like, oh shit, is this seriously happening? And it was like, oh fuck, it's happening. And, like, that was my take, where that was like, okay, I feel good about this because I just hit everyone over the head with a hammer on it. There was zero subtlety. The other one was way more obscure. It was the Turing Test, and it wasn't a true mashup, but that was I've been watching Station 11, and I don't want to get into spoilers on either Station 11 or the Turing Test, but there were things in both of those. Station 11 is an HBO miniseries. It's a single season. It's incredible. Turing Test is a game that I found by doing a Google search of what game should I play if I love Portal 2. And it's like this indie game that I just found because of that, and it's an accurate answer. But without giving too much away on either of them, they're both... Turing Test is a game, Station 11 is a TV show that both kind of tackle questions about what it means to be human. And I really liked the similarities it had in there. So, okay, so instead of me continuing to ramble and just talk about how great I was almost 3 years ago when I did these,
It was
these
a great
arrangements.
tune. Sorry if I was just
No,
I
it
also
was,
love the Turing Test. Actually.
it was a good response there. But a lot of the times the mashup has to do with your own personal take on a thing, and if you have a connection to a thing, you can build on that, and you can draw the line to make it clear to other people, even if it isn't obviously there from the source material on its own.
Yep.
I think I'll stand by that.
Yeah. That's a good summary. Well, I've got one more slide. If people want to ask more questions in the chat, we can. Otherwise, we can wrap this because we have been talking for almost 2.5 hours. It's just longy territory. Here, I'll just summarize with the last slide. Here we go. All right, wrapping it up. Again, I'm just the same. Is it working? Yeah, there we go. Same disclaimer as the beginning. I don't know what I'm talking about, man. I'm just a dude, and I have strong opinions. I hope that people understand that it's coming because I really really appreciate DoD, and it's a place for experimentation and growth. I've bombed really bad in DoD. No one cares. No one remembers.
I remember.
And yeah, but you don't bring it up all the time.
I'll bring it up.
Fine. No one important cares.
It's after 10 Eastern. I'm gonna bust some balls.
Please.
I've bombed in DoD.
Point is,
Joe.
yeah, everybody other than Tony bombs, and just use the freedom, right? And I've had jokes that didn't land. I've had things that just didn't click with people, and it's totally fine. It's totally fine. You have seen me. Well, maybe if you haven't seen me bomb, it's just you haven't been around.
Okay,
long
a
enough.
Joe bomb is literally an evil Sonic medal, so the DoD is a sliding scale. Everybody, by the way.
That's fair. I'm still sore about how badly I bombed with. It was one of my brevity tracks. It was the mashup. It was Sonic Unleashed. And I'm sore about it because I had Dom Palambi on the track, which was a huge get. He was a huge ringer. And I really felt like I was putting myself out to ask him to be on a track. And it was it placed almost last. And it was all because
it came in
mix
it was
sucked.
the midpoint. It was 25th or 26th out of 50 something.
Really? Oh, I thought it was out of 30. In my mind, it was a yeah.
I remember that month.
It was a bomb that, yeah.
I was a little chapped about that month because it
but
turned out that if you took out the tracks that had to get removed because of blatant, flagrant cheating, I would have been in the top 10. I was still pretty pleased it came in 12th. But that was 1 Minute Angel. And I also remember there were over 50 tracks.
Oh, that was a good track.
I remember there were over 50 tracks because I was... it was with Sam the Neon Orange Knight. Yeah?
Okay.
It was with Sam the Neon Orange Knight that we did a Animal Crossing and Devil Went Down to Georgia mashup. and that came in like
Yeah, that
56th
was a
out of
good one.
57 or something. And I remember this because the
Yeah, I
statistic in
mean-
my head is that I think I might have the largest spread of having the most number of places between their 2 credited tracks in a single month. I have to check the spreadsheets,
Yeah.
but that might be me.
I think there was a month. I think there was a month where you, me, and Unknown Pseudo Artist did a track. I think we were talking about the same month. Anyway, yeah. To Fawful's point, like I felt a lot of pressure having Dom on the track because we didn't know each other that well, and we barely talked for like a year after that, and I felt so embarrassed. And I think even now I'm still too embarrassed to ask him to collaborate again. And it took me winning a GMRA with Tony and Dom together for me to finally feel like I could talk to him again. But anyway, that's my own baggage. Again, I've had songs that I wish did better. The one that comes to mind for some reason is it didn't bomb, but I really liked Porto de Calo, the Tintin track that Eric did, that I played bass clarinet on the top. It did well. Like, I think it was like top 10, but I really love that track. And and the Porto Calo.
8
Like
out of
that
25.
track was like, oh my god. Eighth, which is not, it's just respectable, but I was like, this is a song I really love, and I thought more people would vibe with. But it was lower energy, and energy is important, for memorability.
Spoiler alert,
Anyway,
anytime
I'll just say the rest of.
Anytime Eric covers Tintin, I'm there for it.
Yeah, same. And he's been robbed twice because this other Tintin one that I was on also didn't win, but it got second, so that's. Anyway, here I am saying rankings don't matter, and then I'm talking about this, so I'm gonna pivot. DoD is a place where people show respect. I think again, I just want to overemphasize the point that I just care so much about this competition and this community because it's respectful. It's a place where people are genuinely passionate and they're nice to one another, and even when they bust each other's balls, it's done because of we want to keep the integrity of this thing valid. And I think that's why I've stuck around as long as I have. It's just it's respectful, it's a growth mindset, and it's fun. It's just people having fun and sharing their passion, really, like, again, I will once again retract my statement that winning doesn't matter. The thing that really matters is the friends you make along the way. And I have been tremendously privileged and gifted to have made friends through DoD who are unbelievable talents, and that they have not only supported me on my tracks, but also, let me be part of their projects. And, again, just shouting out for no reason in particular, Kev and Stemage and the Super Strikers letting me play, main stage at Super last year, and all the other people who let me play with them, like Ian and Carrie, Kirby's Dream Band, Tiberian Suns, Super Soul Bros, even all of those opportunities, those collaborations where I got to play the big stages, they all came about in one way or another because of Dueling of Duels, and that's fucking dope.
Don't forget the biggest stage of all.
That is the real reason to do it.
The biggest stage of all is the one you're on right now.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, this is the big time.
We got 14 people watching.
You guys get it. I'm not gonna. No, we're not supposed to make him self-conscious. No, I've had a good point. Let's not. Okay, ban on talking about how few people are.
You
listening.
can't ban me. I can do whatever
anyway.
the fuck I want.
Literally
1984.
1915, because that's how many listeners we have. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Ankelo Tale 2, indirectly to DoD. Although I think that was maybe more... that's true. Yeah, through Pops, for sure. Yeah. So Fawful is he plays in Anklo Tale with me and Tony, and he's likely to be a superstar in DoD in the future. We'll see. I'm just saying, no pressure. Pressure for the 15 of us. Any other questions or any other things that we want to talk about? Otherwise, I should probably spend time with my children.
Why? What have they done to deserve that?
They were actually really good today. I had a really good time with my kids today.
I'll allow it. I was being snarky.
No, that's fair. One of these days, I'm gonna come back to DoD, but it's not gonna be me. It's gonna be them, and they're gonna do a track.
That's
I actually have I have a track in mind that we've always wanted to do as a family. So just gotta fit the theme. But yeah, here I was saying I was retiring. It's like, haha.
Yeah, no. The second you said you're retiring, I'm like, okay, what are you working on this month?
I'm working. I'm committing to the swag. I need to stay focused. It's really hard for me to pivot into doing like originals again because I have had so much fun doing covers. But I really want to do these originals because now I can talk about it with the theme being Mega Man, Mega Man X. It was like the opportunity of a lifetime because literally the plot of this platformer that we're working on it's like a Mega Man X game where you're fighting all of the past MagFest mascots. So I got to... Oh yeah, I'm giving a little bit of spoilers here, but it meant that I got to... Like the soundtrack for this game is literally going to be originals that are trying to sound like / parody other video game songs. So it's so much fun.
Newmajoe, this
it is
is
going to
your
be so much
life.
fun. So like, yes, I was like built for this, and I was like, I absolutely have to do this, and I have to not only be involved with like the music, but I was like, I have to pick the bosses too, which led to me then picking what the bosses' powers were going to be and their weaknesses, and then I'm now actually like directing the whole thing. It just one thing led to another. I'm not the only director. I'm working with a big team, but like I keep throwing ideas out and people keep saying yes to them. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it. But yeah, like I'm writing a song right now that's gonna be like mashing up Storm Eagle from Mega Man X with the Star Fox theme. Because it's it's gonna be so much fun. People who are big music nerds are gonna enjoy the fuck out of it because it's just you're gonna get all of the jokes that I'm doing.
If only we knew
all
a
of the
community
music
that
and
was
jokes
really
and
into
catch all the
video game
references.
music and had nerds in it.
I know. I'm gonna start posting as soon as I can get working again. I'm gonna start posting this stuff, but it's gonna be really really fun, and I hope people play the game and enjoy it, and then that ends up being its own thing.
Someday we'll cover it in DoD.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about who I would want to cover these songs when I write them. But I'm not
cover them
that
all.
much of a. I'm not that
Mandolin
narcissistic.
only. Mandolin
Nice.
only covers of all of Newmajoe's tracks. That's what I'm gonna do. Next recover month.
Kazoo and ukulele.
No. It's mandolin.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not going to be the only composer. There will be other people doing stuff for it. I'm really excited. I got Street Cleaner, who is he's been a fixture of DoD. I'm now officially announcing it, but he's now involved in it too, both from a music and potentially also a game design perspective. Because if you haven't played Street Cleaner, it's really fun.
It's a shizzy for life over there.
That's right, shizzy for life.
Joe, do you have anything
Anything
else? Yep. Took the words out of my mouth. I think that about wraps it up. Joe, thank you so much. This has been unsurprisingly a treat. I always love jumping on here and chatting with you, and I don't need a tight script. I just need a few rough notes because I know the banter comes so smoothly. Although I say that,
I know this is like the least amount of bits we've done. Like we were actually like relatively composed here.
Well,
so
you
sorry
had a
if you were
PowerPoint.
hoping for more shenanigans. That's true. Next time I won't do it. Next time I'll just bring a single slide of Garfield. We'll just keep
I mean,
that up on the screen.
honestly, it's probably a good thing you had the PowerPoint because it reined it in a little bit. Like I still feel like that we had a good amount of bits, or at least I had a good amount of.
That's true.
It was more like I was being the Statler and Waldorf. I was doing the two-parter, Statler and Waldorf, while you were doing your presentation, so I could like chime in with my little, nudges. But
I dig it.
we had a good time.
Yeah.
We learned a few things. We made some friends
It's true.
along
We had a
the
good
way.
time. All right. That's true. All right. Let's end strong. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for all now 13 of you. I appreciate
14.
it. And yeah, 14. Yeah. All right.
We got one.
Okay. All right.
Keep it right here,
All right.
everyone.
Play us off.
This has been Dwelling of Duels.
Thank you guys. Thank you for everything. Love you. Bye.
chili dogs.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.